Bring you powerful conversations with change makers who are shaping the industries and communities. And that's what we do every day. And today we're diving into the world of swimming education and water safety. Joining me in studio is visionary director and founder of Splash Aquademy Swim School. That's Tiffany Miguel. Tiffany, good morning and thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Sam. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, your job is water safety. It's mentoring and providing opportunities for youth.
Yes.
And it's so interesting. I've had this conversation so many times with different people. I've spoken to different schools, swimming instructors. I've spoken to beach safety, and and then I went on a holiday in Thailand, and I can't swim. My kids can swim, and I can't swim. And as we went over the ocean and we're bouncing on our way to Phi Phi Island, I thought this would be so interesting. I've had all the opportunity. I know the people. I've never learned to swim. Why don't we learn to swim?
I think that's a question you have to ask yourself. No, so what I found is that adults, and specifically people of color, their generations, like the generation just before, you had so much trauma with water. If you consider that water was used to torture them, in apartheid days and those back days. So they've got this inherent fear of water, along with the fact that your whole life, your parents said to you, stay away from the pool, you're going to drown.
Yeah.
Stay away from the pool, you're going to drown. Now it's a new thing. No, we must go to the pool, So it's getting over that fear that's been taught to you since practically birth,
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm sure when you were growing up, you didn't have as much access to water as other people did.
For sure.
Other people grew up, they had swimming pools in their backyard. You had to walk like 40 minutes to an
We
hour
had the municipal pool.
to go to the municipal pool,
Yeah, and then you were told not to open your mouth because somebody peed in it.
And besides that, like, you just bounced up and down. There were so
Yeah.
many people there, you couldn't actually
Yes.
swim. You just were squished in like sardines, bouncing up and down.
Yeah, just sitting in the water, basically.
Yeah, so it's the lack of access, and then also the inherent fear that came with being born to a person of color.
Yeah.
That's what stops people from
I
learning
think
how
that
to
makes
swim.
sense to me, actually.
Yeah, so your mother, I'm sure, said to you, right? Don't go near the water.
Because you're going to drown, baby.
Exactly.
And I don't know how to swim either.
Yeah.
Because most of our parents didn't know how to swim back
Yeah.
then. And so there was a fair amount of fear passed on, even though the irony is that we have things like water birth. The amniotic fluid that you are is a water compound.
Yeah.
So we are, from the moment we are conceptualized to the point of actual birth entering to the world, it's all part of water.
Yeah, so I actually
body's made out of water.
I had 2 water births, actually.
Oh, wow.
And my children are excellent swimmers. They were born literally into water, and they have no fear because I've been conscious of not passing on the fear of water.
Well, it would be crazy, a director and founder of a swim academy who has children who's scared of water. That
Can
would
I
be
tell you
strange.
what's crazy?
Yeah.
My mom can't swim.
Oh, no, you've got to do something about that.
She refuses to learn. So she came for one lesson. In that lesson, we taught her how to float. So she can float from A to B, and she decided that's enough. She doesn't need to know how to swim.
Wow. So your mom could literally, if we ever went to Thailand, she would swim back to South Africa. She would float back to
She
South
could
Africa.
float back to South Africa. It will take her a while, but she'll get here eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah, so someone has to make the decision for themselves to learn how to swim. Often people ask me, how do I convince people to get over
how do you
that
break
fear?
down that barrier?
And I'm not in the business of convincing people. People have to make that decision for themselves. Once they are there, I've got ways of breaking down the fear with them. My course was built in association with psychologist.
Yeah.
So I've got ways of and discussions that we have and activities that we do to break the fear. But the first point needs to be you making that decision to say, I want to learn to swim. And it's always good if you have a why. I find a lot of people, their whys are my grandkids. My grandkids come over now, they can swim. I have a
like
pool
that.
at
You
home.
need a why.
Yeah, you need to have a why, and so that, because it's not easy. It's fast, but it's not easy. So even though I developed a course where you learn to swim in 4 weeks guaranteed, that guarantee stands if you're going to show up to class and do the things that need to be done.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Even having gone to so many of these leadership academies and going to watch young people, they will always tell you, nothing is effective if you don't rock up. If you are not present, if you're not willing to learn, I can show you whatever you like, but if you're not willing to be part of that, it's not going to be effective at all.
Absolutely. When people sign up with me, the enrollment form actually states that you must attempt every activity, because it doesn't help you come there and you want to stand on the side of the pool. I can't teach you through osmosis. It's not going to work.
I'd love to. If you could, it would be less than
if
4
I
weeks.
could like put a chip in and just download a program and you're a swimmer, I mean, that would make my life so easy. But you have to actually do the work in order for it to work.
Tell me quickly your relationship with swimming and how did it start? Because you have a mom who wasn't a swimmer, wasn't interested in it. How did you form your own relationship with swimming, and then how did it morph into building a business around it? Where at the I'm not saying you were bragging, but to have over 1,000 people take part and are connected to your swim academy. I mean, that's amazing.
It's actually unrelated. How interesting is that? I learned how to swim and perfected my swimming as a naval cadet. I was in the Navy when I was younger because I had discipline problems. So my parents put me there. And we did intense
you still have
swimming drills.
Problems?
I can hide it better now.
So it's there, but it's
hidden.
You've been taught how to hide it. Okay, yeah.
So there we did like intense drills, and that's where I became an avid swimmer. However, when I didn't know that teaching swimming was a career. I had my son, I was in marketing, and the hours are very hectic in marketing. And I said, this isn't the kind of mom I want to be. You know, I'm leaving home, he's asleep. I'm coming back, he's asleep. So I Googled part-time jobs and I saw swimming teacher. And I said, this is interesting. What's this?
Because I come from the Navy.
Yeah, we were checked in and just swim, you know. And I watched this lady teach and I saw, okay, this is cool. And that's that. Then I started my own school. Like I literally watched her for a few months. And then I decided to go out on my own because there was this disconnect between how children and adults were taught. Adults were sort of an afterthought, like there was no effort put into them. And I am passionate about teaching adults because there's so many people of color who never learned how to swim. And then you see them going to Thailand, holding their life jackets while the boat is bouncing on the sea. They're like praying there, whereas the other people are jumping off the boat, swimming around, having their best life.
That literally happened in one of the islands where they said, oh, and you can now jump into the water.
And you said, no,
and
thanks.
I said, no, and I was watching them. And then you know what we do in the back of our heads? We go like, why are they so silly? Why are you jumping in the middle of the ocean? Where are the sharks, the sharks and the turtles?
So you must come to me, and then the next time you're in Thailand, you're going to jump with them.
Yeah.
And then you're going to understand why they do it.
And I've been to Thailand so many times. And yet,
such a waste.
Yeah, so I'm just literally spending time in the shallow pools. The inherent, and I love the explanation, and also what I think, which is very clever, is that through your story, yet again, it proves that if there's a will, there's a way. One doesn't have to go through this formal process, and you've built a very successful business. But I can only imagine that it must be more difficult teaching adults than young ones, because I watch my 3 kids, and they took to water like that. My wife, bless her soul, tried to teach me how to swim. Put on the whole, put on the floaties.
Oh my goodness!
We tried everything, and then for a moment, just for a moment, when I got out of my head, I actually got it right to float.
Yeah, you have to get out your head.
And then I was back in my head, and I sank down.
So I've developed a way to teach adults that make it easier to teach adults. Because all along, people were teaching adults the same way they teach children, using the same drills, the same methodologies. I went to a psychologist. I said, what is wrong with adults? Why can't they learn? I went to a physical trainer. I said, how hard can I push adults? You know, so their lessons are twice as long. I use a lot of theory when I'm teaching them, and the methodology is just completely different. So
I love that.
Easier for me to teach adults than it is for children. Children take like maybe like 12 weeks, sometimes longer, up to a year even to learn how to swim. Adults, 4 weeks, done. So
4 weeks guaranteed
4
to
weeks
swim.
It actually has a money back guarantee. Learn to swim in 4 weeks or your money back. I've never had to give anyone their money back because I've perfected the course so much that literally by the second lesson they're already swimming across. Then it's just teaching them how to breathe and dive and that kind of thing. Be fancy.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. You've also, through this, have become an advocate for us to understand water safety as well, because I think that is one of our challenges, because it's our fear that we pass on to our children. And what has that journey been like, becoming an advocate, and to not just teach, but to also advocate for water safety?
Absolutely. So what I found is that when parents are taking their children to swimming lessons, they sort of get a bit lax on the safety side because you think, oh, my kid can swim, so I can relax when they're around the pool. But there's some fundamentals that never change and that I felt needed to be reinforced, like the fact that no child should ever swim unsupervised, whether they've been swimming their whole lives or not.
And I've seen that, I've seen it. It fills me with anxiety.
Yeah. Where they go to Sun City, you must see all those children running around the lazy river by themselves. Like, where is your mother? Children should never swim unsupervised because you never know. They could slip, they could bump their head, they could get tangled in something, their shorts could come down and tangle. Oh, let's not get into that. But the point is, I make sure that I do water safety talks, not only at my own school, but I go to various nursery schools, various clubs, community meetings, and just do a basic safety talk that includes the 3 rules: never swim alone, never push anyone in, never swim inebriated. And then I also do a rescue sort of talk, how to save someone who is drowning, because a lot of people don't know how to save someone, that you don't get in to save them, because you'll be gone. No matter how good a swimmer you are.
Because they might use you in trying to stay buoyant. And there's a lot of panic that sets in and it becomes uncomfortable.
And a person on adrenaline is so strong.
Yeah.
So when that adrenaline is rushing through their body, they're going to push you down so they could breathe, and they're not even going to know they're doing it. So, rule number 1, don't get in. So
find something, wrap it around
you
them.
You find something, you throw it to them, you call the ambulance first. So for my water safety, it's 4 rules. Rule number 1, don't get in. Rule number 2, call for help so that immediately you know there's an ambulance on the way. Rule number 3, reach to save, so you pass them something. And then rule number 4 is how I teach them the water safety CPR. Because when you're doing CPR on someone who's been in the water, it's very different. You have to turn them on their side as soon as you pump, because the water's going to come out and they don't choke on it,
Yeah.
So I go around and I do these talks to make sure that everyone is water safe.
Yeah.
Not just in the water, but from an onlooker point of view.
How long have you been doing this now?
9 years.
9 years. It's roughly around the same time social media has become really popular, and we've watched some really crazy stuff. People jumping from roofs, people pranking around the pool, pushing each other, and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that contributes to this idea that the space around a pool is a laughing matter. Yeah. And to your point, it's slippery, it's wet, there's a lot of other issues. How do you find the kind of influence of social media on behavior around pools and areas of huge bodies of water?
Not so much with my students, but I'll see it when my family comes to my pool to come swim. Then they're always doing backflips off the kickboard, off the flipboard. They're trying to do fancy dives. And I'm like, it's the most anxious time of my life is when family is there. Okay. Because they watch all these videos and they think it's cute and they think it's cool. But I mean, one wrong move and you can be paralyzed for life. And that's like one of the best case scenarios.
Yeah.
So what I try to do, with my students, they've had so much safety drilled into them that they know not to try anything like that. When my family's there, I try reiterate, guys, don't run around the pool, don't do this. But I just sound like that nagging auntie. Hey, stop running around the pool.
But it's important, and every year, for whatever reason, we are inundated with horror stories over the festive period. Kids getting pulled in by tidal waves or currents, even adults drowning. And I can only imagine the horror of something that was meant to be a fun day out turning into this massive tragedy.
Yeah, look, being able to tell a tidal wave is very important. Sometimes I do talks with the NSRI, that's the National Sea Rescue Institute.
Yeah, they do amazing work.
They do. So sometimes they'll call me and they'll say, do I have any contacts for places they can go?
That's Craig Lambanon, who's the speaker for the NSRI.
Yeah, so I don't deal directly with them. I deal with a lady named Linda. So she's one of their field workers. And literally her job, 9 till 5 every day, is just going and educating people on rip tides and beach safety, And so in winter, I'll help her. I'll go to the schools where I've got lessons and I'll help her get in there. And we do some talks showing people how to spot a rip tide. because that is a life-saving technique. I know myself, I've been taken in by a riptide, and it was so difficult to get back to shore because I didn't know the things they taught. So, whenever you see dark water, stay away. That's what she's taught me now. You see dark, still water where the water looks calm and there's waves on the side, that's the riptide, the calm section.
Wow.
And
Didn't
it's
know
where,
that.
you'd think the opposite, right? You'd think, let me go swim. Nope. The still water is the dangerous water. Stay away from that. And if you get pulled in on a riptide, swim out to the side. Let it take you and swim out to the side. Don't try swim against it. You'll tire yourself out. So those kinds of talks are very important. Even though we're inland, how often do we go on holiday to the ocean? So we need to know that as well.
Yeah. And I think it's only when you're in serious trouble that you realize that you actually need the skills. So you've now been doing this for 9 years. The Academy, you call it the Academy, it's Aqua Academy, is doing very, very well. For people that want to know more, as we come, how can they get hold of you? I know you've got indoor facilities. You've got 3 facilities in the greater Johannesburg, right?
I have 3 facilities. 2 are in the south of Johannesburg in Kepler Park. Those are outdoor summer-only facilities. And then 1 is indoor in Rudderkrans in the West Rand.
Okay.
That one runs year-round.
And where can they get hold of you, Tiffany?
So on all social media, you go to Splash Aquademy. So it's AQUADEMY.
Yeah, it's just basically Aqua and Demi.
Aquademy, yes. So all social media, it's at Splash Aquademy. And then our website is splashacademy.co.za. They can also just WhatsApp us directly on 078 917 997.
Just repeat that again for us.
078 917 997.
997. Tiffany Miguel, thank you very much for joining us and having a chat to us. What a phenomenal South African business, and kudos to you for doing so much work, and just the insights has been absolutely incredible. So go and find out more if you're in that part. If you're going on holiday, maybe you want to prep the family. As you've heard, Tiffany is more than qualified. It's Tiffany Miguel. It's Splash Aquademy. Their number is simple, 078 917 997. It is a proudly South African business. It is a local business. Let's help and grow and build this business. And at the same time, go and find out from them. There's a lot of resources. She does a lot of talks. Maybe you have a school. Maybe you have an organization. Maybe you want to partner with them. That's exactly the way to do it.
Thank you.